Welcome back to the Real Mr. Mom. So today's episode, I'm going to be talking about just kind of what works for me, as far as getting perspective when you're dealing with problems. Because again, I think that that's probably one of the bigger day-to-day kicks in the face that somebody suffering from mental illness or depression deals with is just the adding to it. It's just the fact that, you've got these bad things that have happened in your life, super heavy or whatever, and there's still tension. It's just one of those things where you just look at life before tragedy struck. It's not like life was perfect, right? I mean, you still had fights, you still had arguments with your friends and family, you still had tension. Life wasn't smooth. You still have all those things, but now you're dealing with it with like a mortal wound. You're dealing with it with like internal bleeding or something like heart failure. You're dealing with the normal challenges of life, but you're dealing with this with now a significant thing that you have to carry with. And again, too, a lot of the times those small, minute, day-to-day things feed into and I say poke at your wound. It'd be like you having a gun wound, and the day-to-day stuff is just like a needle prick that's just preventing it from healing. And so again, I think it's just really important to look at what works. And again, just because it works for me does not mean it's going to work for you, but it might work for you. And if nothing else, it might make you start to reflect and figure out what does work for you. Like I said, it's trial and error, sadly. And that's one of the things that has been difficult for me through the process of trying to heal, and also trying to develop understanding of mental health to help people heal, is that the only way you can figure out how to remedy it is by experience it. So I have unfortunately kind of poked at my mental health over the years of intentionally trying to go to that sad place to figure out how to get out. It's one of those things where, and so I think it's really important to constantly be self-reflecting and be aware. But that's one of the things that I would focus on right now, is that, if you want something to help you get out of a funk, if you want to, have something that's kind of a, anti-kryptonite to kryptonite. For myself, I think one of the things I've thought about was, just again, be self-aware. And if you ever notice yourself feeling joyous in spite of challenges. The other day, I was reading to two of my kids, and they started fighting. And usually that would drive me crazy. And a lot of times I think it drives most people crazy when they're having to deal with kids and they're fighting each other, because it's, obviously it's one of those things where, if kids would do nothing, they would be so much easier to handle. But they make everything excessively more challenging. And I don't mean that to be critically or to challenge people or discourage them from having kids. I just want to be real, because I want to tell you it's rainbow and sunshines. Because I think that's a load of garbage that people were fed. Same thing with relationships. I think a lot of people today think that their relationships are supposed to be rainbows and sunshine. And if they're not, that means it's not meant to be. And then you got termites like my children screaming in the back because 5 seconds of inconvenience, and they think the world's coming to an end. But again, so internally right now, I'm screaming to no extent. I'm punching a pillow and chucking it off the Niagara Falls. But one of the things that I've thought about was, again, like I said, my kids were fighting, but I think it was the fact that I observed it. They were both sitting on my lap, and they just started smacking each other back and forth, and I'm just going like this, being like, I just want to read. And I just started laughing. Like, I just couldn't help myself, because I'm just like, really? We'd be, trying to have this sweet, father-son moment, and then they just start, beating the hell out of each other. And it was funny, too, because it also reminded me of when my twin and I were kids. We had a tendency of sometimes working things out in that physical aspect. And then my kid, again, loves to scream at me because, it's the nice thing about being a giving person, is that people want to take more. But anyhow, one of the things that I think helped me was thinking about that. Once I realized that looking at my kids and the silliness that they're behaving in, again, too, connecting that to my own childhood, I just couldn't help but smile, even though it was extremely frustrating and discouraging. And so that's one thing I've thought about, is that there are times when, my kids are driving me up the wall, or life and my kids are driving up the wall, or my wife and my life and my kids are driving me up the wall. And that's one thing that really helps me, is when I take a step back and I'll just, look at pictures of them just being sweet, and they just fill my heart. And it's just knowing that I have that, knowing that, even when I'm being driven crazy, that just, making eye contact with them and just looking at their little cute faces and just how they, have so much love in spite of the insanity they also have as well. But that helps me. And again, too, that's not to discourage somebody because they don't have kids. And trust me, as you can hear, it's not as good as you think it would be. It's kind of it's a fun night at a bachelor party, and the next morning you just wish it never happened. Kind of joking. Anyhow, humor aside, just because you don't have kids, or just because, if you don't have a spouse, like I said, it's just one of those things where maybe, that one thing is just, like I said, looking back, like that's one of the things that, brings a smile to my face is remembering my twin and I were kids and just the fun, adventures we had and just the craziness and our perspectives and just, just kind of, I think it's pretty mainstream, but again, too, I was born in 85, so it could very well not be mainstream. It could be total classic, like Gone with the Wind or something. But the movie Happy Gilmore, when he talks, when I think it's Chubbs McGee. I don't know if that's his. I should know that. I'm a pretty big movie buff. But anyhow, he's talking to Happy Gilmore about go to your happy place. And whenever he actually goes to his happy place, and it's his actual happy place, because there's a point in the movie when it's not a happy place. But anyhow. But when he goes to his happy place, all the stress and everything goes away. He just focuses, boom, gets it. And so, for myself, I don't want to be cheesy or anything, but that is one of the things that helps me, is just going to my happy place, and that's kind of one of the things I was thinking the other day, was if you're struggling and you can feel your depression or anxiety taking over, but you're at a family party or whatever, and you're like, frick, it's gonna happen again, and you're just kind of waiting for it. So you're, for myself anyways, I'm silent. I usually avoid people because I just boil underneath. I just think about what makes me happy. I just think about, I say I love comedies and stuff, and so I'll just think of something that makes me laugh, and it's like that reality that was building up is still true. But like I said, it's like changing tracks, instead of going over to super angry like I want to do right now and, drop kick my child, I'm going to try to go to super happy and probably meet in the middle and maybe go to, punching a pillow and throwing it out the window or whatever. But it's just one of those things where every time that I've, shown patience, like now, I'd love to hit pause and batter at the mound. But I know that I'll regret that, losing my temper, and that it'll feed my overwhelmed feeling. Whereas if I'm calm and collective and I can find the humor in my kids driving me crazy, the same result happened. My kid's still freaked out, but continues. Ooh, sounds like it's getting better. Yes, one of the things I'm hoping for Christmas, if Santa, if you're watching, deafness. Please make it so I cannot hear things, because I'd be so much calmer, so much peaceful if I was calm, not if I was calm, but yes, if I could not hear the insanity that is my life. I just want to clunk their heads together and take a nap. Click. If I ever get that controller, I'm hitting mute and pause a billion times. You see, they're fighting. I'm doing absolutely nothing to provoke it, and somehow it's my fault. But I probably should go, because I might have one less child soon, not voluntarily, but as always, good luck and good night.
You're it. Quincy's! Any Quincy's? You're it, Quincy's. No any Quincy's, no startsies. You can't do that. Can't do? Cannot. Stamped it. Can't do double stamped it, no erases. Cannot. Triple stamped it, no erases. Touch blue, make it true. You can't triple stamp a double stamp. You can't triple stamp a double stamp, Lloyd. You can't triple stamp a double stamp. Lloyd! You guys! Enough!